Welcome to Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition, as we recap the Big Bonelit Kentucky Symphony's rendition of Brahms' Concerto No. 4 in G minor.
April Fools, motherfuckers!
Ha! As if!
Oh, did that hurt your Friday night hangover? Are your temples throbbing? Good. For even buying into that bullshit. He's a conquistador, Dave Height.
He's a maestro, Kevin Crane.
Shame on you if you actually thought that's where we were going. You know where we're going here on the weekend edition.
April 1st, 2023. As always, we start off with hard rock and roll.
And we're starting off with reviews of 3 songs, and I will say 3 awesome songs.
This is a great trio of songs.
Yes, and of course, I am biased. I will admit it. It's Van Halen, the first single from the upcoming album, Mammoth 2. Mammoth WVH. Another celebration at the end of the world, and I love this song. Screw all the Van Halen critics out there. It's not Sammy. It's not Dave. I don't care.
Guess
what you think.
It's Wolfgang. He's his own person.
The sound is different, and that's great.
That's the brilliance of it. Get over yourselves. Come out into the light and experience something new.
Absolutely, and Mammoth WVH is a great melding of the old and the new, and this song absolutely brings it. I loved it.
The guitar work is fantastic. The drums are incredible.
And it's all Wolfie.
It is.
Although the video leads you to believe otherwise. The awesome 8-minute long video.
Yes. But
I love the fact that in the video he gives his touring band full due.
Yes.
Full credit for what they do. Because, of course, we've seen them 3 times in the last year and a half. So
they are a solid band performing on stage.
And that's the thing. The albums, the studio work, all Wolfie. But you would never guess it when you see them live.
Yeah, just flawless.
Yep. So another celebration at the end of the world. Again, awesome song.
It hits hard. It hits often. It's got a quick beat. Lyrics are fantastic. Wolfie hits another one out of the park.
Yep. 3.5.
3.5.
3.5 frenzies. I said it last week because I'd already listened to it a couple times. I will stick by my guns. Contender for Song of the Year, but still like Rise by Extreme a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's close.
It's very close. It's
close.
Neck and neck.
But we're only 3 months in. So
I know. So
we got a long
way to go. All right. Next, we have the second song from Ayron Jones off their next upcoming album, Blood in the Water. Very cool bluesy track.
Yeah, the chorus takes the spotlight here because outside of the chorus, there's not a lot in terms of lyrics. It's more about the musicianship and that unbelievable chorus where he's basically singing about the fact that because his father and his mother died early, he is doomed, is how it feels.
It's got that me against the world. The chips are stacked against me. But damn, his guitar work is phenomenal.
Yeah, this is a very good, very, very solid blues rock song. Again, you just got to take it for what it is. It's not lyrically deep. It's
rock, but it hits you on an emotional level.
Right. Again, if you've lost a parent, if you've survived or outlived a parent, you kind of understand where he's going with the lyrics.
Yeah.
So I give it a solid 3 frenzies.
Solid 3 from me as well. Ayron, this is better than the first one. I like this better than the other one.
And I have to give you credit because this one and the next one are on you. You were the one last year that turned me on to Ayron Jones. You saw him in concert and told me,
check him out.
Yep. So I bought the first album. Hit and miss on the first album.
Yeah. So far, the second one, the first 2 singles are good. Very enjoyable. So I await the next on Chronicles. I have to get my glasses here. Chronicles of the Kid is the album that's coming out later this year.
Forgive us for the senior moment there.
Yes, sometimes the glasses just need to line up right to be able to read. All right. Next, another new band that I found and suggested for this week. The Cold Stares, Got No Right, off their new album, Voices.
Voices just came out on March the 10th.
Yep. So we thought we would do the first single here that popped for us. I think we may have the album review coming down the line.
Yep. Yeah, definitely a couple weeks from now. I think that is going to happen.
Yep. Got No Right is... This kind of feels like it could have been a Fabulous Thunderbirds song. Maybe-ish.
Son of a bitch, man. I mean, seriously, again, this is why we've been doing this for 30 years, is because he literally, without consulting me, just stole that from me. That was going to be my first thought. Was
you kind of have that Stevie Ray Vaughan.
No, that's Jimmy Vaughan.
Or Jimmy Vaughan. Jimmy Vaughan.
Guitar. Some of their other stuff sounds like Stevie Ray.
Yeah. So they've kind of got that little vibe going for them.
Yeah, I was going to say Fabulous Thunderbirds. I was going to say they sound like a less pretentious, more honest version of the Black Keys.
Son of a bitch!
Everybody freaks out about the Black Keys. And
what do I have written down right there? Black Keys, Fabulous Thunderbirds.
If I could read your writing, which is awful, yeah.
Black Keys, Fabulous Thunderbirds. Son of a bitch.
But the Black Keys, everybody fawns all over the Black Keys, but they have always struck me as pretentious. They're trying to sound like the old blues idols. They're trying to sound like the old awesome blues guitarists that we all loved from the past. These guys, the Cold Stares, sound like they mean it. They sound like they are more honest, more raw than the Black Keys. So that's why, like Dave said, we will probably end up reviewing Voices here in the next couple weeks. But the song, Got No Right, definitely a solid 3 frenzies.
Yes, the more I've listened to it, the more I like it. I had started originally thinking strong 2.5, but it has grown to a definite 3.
Yep. And we and I have already sampled some of the other songs on Voices. So the interesting thing reading about them is we talk about the Black Keys. Of course, the Black Keys duo, these guys were a duo. They just added a third.
Yep.
They added a bass player for this album. So now they're a three-man band. Seems like it might have added some backbone, some strength.
That bass really puts them into that next level.
Yep. So we're trying to find new stuff for you, kids. You're going to have to deal with the fact that this is an exploration for us. We're trying to find stuff for you. We're filtering it out. We're going to tell you the stuff to stay away from and the new stuff to get into.
Yep. We've been stuck in our ways for so long. Yep. We're trying to branch out and expand and open new horizons for ourselves.
And we're bringing you with us, God damn it, whether you like it or not.
Kicking and screaming all the way.
All right, some rock and roll news before we get into our literary frenzy for the week. Because we have got a lot in movies, we've got a lot in TV and streaming, taking up full segments there. Glad to hear Jack Blades of Night Rangers feeling better. Had a health scare this week. Admitted to the hospital, 3 shows postponed. Sounds like he had to have a stent put in for heart irregularities.
Stent or an angioplasty type procedure.
But sounds like he's good to go. The other guys, the other 4 in Night Ranger posted, said everything's going well. They fully expect him to be back on the road. And he better damn well be, because we're going to see him at Party Gras along with Night Ranger, Bret Michaels, Jefferson Starship.
Looking forward to that one.
Michael Anthony of Van Halen has a new band.
Yes. This could be fun.
Now, Jeff Scott Soto, formerly of Journey, has said that, in so many words, alluding on social media, he is the lead singer. You got Bon Jovi's current guitarist. I would be very, very interested to hear if Mikey has a band. This is the first time ever he will be in charge of a band, what they sound like.
It'd be very interesting.
Now, could go one of 2 ways.
It could be very good.
Or it could be skills.
Could be...
When I thought Brad Gillis jumping in there, taking over that band last year. Oh, God, that was awful. Oh, God, that was awful, Dave.
Yeah, but I as we alluded, we think that was a pure record company deal.
All right. Concert news. Not locally. No, nothing we can go see unless we were rich and famous. But still big news nonetheless. Official announcement as we tape here on the 29th, coming on the 30th of March. There's a big festival in California called the Power Trip Festival. And it is sounding like it is going to be unbelievable.
They're putting some big festivals together.
Number 1, this festival will feature Ozzy Osbourne, who has already said he was not going to tour anymore.
Right.
But his wife, of course, who runs his life,
says you're doing this.
She said he's going to do the one-offs if and when he can. So supposedly, based on social media, again, we have to
take it with a grain of salt.
But supposedly Metallica is in on this as well. But the biggest one of all, the first show for this band in 7 years. AC/DC will be playing the Power Trip Festival in Indio, California. And you heard it here first.
Of course it's California. Bastards.
Yep, out in the desert in California. They're getting all of these big bands. And, I mean, 7 years. Think about it. They were supposed to tour during the COVID years.
Yeah.
Got the new album. Didn't work out. Hopefully this will get them going.
Maybe re-energize them a little bit.
Yeah.
They've had the health and legal issues. So maybe
get AC/DC out on a world tour. Hopefully this is Ozzy. I see as a one-off.
Yeah, Ozzy's a one-off. Hope so far AC/DC is the one-off. Maybe it'll spark something more.
All right, next week we will review LA Guns' new song Shattered Glass. New supergroup Elegant Weapons. Blind Leading the Blind.
Nita Strauss with Alice Cooper, Winner Take All.
And we alluded to this last week. Of course, our feature album review for next week will be the Black Star Riders, Wrong Side of Paradise. We've been looking forward to that for a while.
Yep.
Again, another awesome recommendation from the Conquistador.
All right. Sometimes the music streaming services do provide a good service, blending something new in after what you've listened to.
I thought you were going to say something about the blind pig finding a truffle.
No, a blind bird finding a worm.
All right. We're going to pivot over to Literary Frenzy for this week. Our book review, which, of course, Dave has been utterly and completely patient with, because as he reads 5 books a week, I read a book every 5 weeks. So, finally, we have a review of the latest Alex Delaware novel from Jonathan Kellerman, Unnatural History, where Alex and Milo Sturgis, again, a character who is gay, who has been in the literary world for decades.
Yeah.
And again, amazing how you can put him in this book, in this series, and doesn't bother anybody because it's just done right.
Yeah, because it's an original character. That's how he was written well over 20 years ago, coming up close to 30.
So,
actually over 30, I believe now.
Probably, because we're getting old. We're getting old. I believe you're right. It's probably over 30. But again, if you do it right, if you just write it in,
and it's not shoved down your throat.
Again, I hate to say that when it comes to...
Hey!
I'm not trying to be homophobe! I'm just saying, if you do it, you tell us right away, this is the way the character is, we're more likely to accept it than if you change a classic character, which we'll get to in our TV segment.
Yep.
So, Unnatural History. Dave and I have read all of the books in the series. And as he said, going on 30 years, at least, of Alex Delaware and Milo Sturgis investigating crimes on the West Coast in the greater Los Angeles region. I've always said he's one of my favorite writers, but caveat. Unlike a Robert B. Parker, he's just every once in a while inconsistent.
Yeah.
It almost seems like a pattern where I'll get 2 good books out of him.
Yes. Good.
Yeah, exactly. And this is an to me. To me, this was an And again, it seems like there is a pattern. Otherwise, every 7 or 8 books, we have to put Alex Delaware through physical trauma.
Yeah, because you can't have him assisting the police unscathed. I mean, let's face it.
Right.
It's going to happen where he's going to wind up in some sort of situation.
Right, and that's not the problem. And we're not trying to spoil this for you, but if you've read the books, you know what we're talking about. He's had his house burned down. He's dealing with, here's the problem, he's dealing with his significant other. And if it wasn't for that, this wouldn't be an issue. But it feels like every 7 or 8 years, he goes through this, and as much as his significant other tolerates it,
she still gets freaked out.
And we get this at the end of Unnatural History, where he knows, typical guy, he knows, oh crap, I'm going to have the conversation
Yep.
with Robin.
So, but this one kind of leveled the scales with one of the other police officers.
Right. There was a
So-
situation a couple years ago where he had saved the life of a detective on Milo's
team.
and now the tables have turned. So that was kind of nice.
Yeah. So there had been tension between this officer and Delaware, kind of an
A guilt
awkward.
thing. Yeah, you're dealing with a detective who had a very religious background, so guilt played a big part.
It's like a civilian saved me, and he was having trouble with it, and he got his chance.
Right, so now the scales are balanced. But in the end, the story itself, if you would happen to jump in, as this is your first Delaware book.
It wasn't the strongest.
No, you've got a reclusive billionaire, not Howard Hughes, but
no, just a guy who's been married, had a kid, and moved on. Just somebody who's
multiple times.
Multiple times.
Right. So, of course, Delaware's coming in to kind of analyze that. What kind of guy would procreate, move on, procreate, move on, procreate. One kid with one wife, move on. One kid with one wife, move on. Does that have something to do with why one of the children gets killed at the beginning? Or is the project
that he's working on,
the kid is working on, have something to do with his demise?
Is it a family situation? Are the siblings starting to knock each other off?
Right. Is it basic greed in that sense? Somebody wants a bigger slice of the inheritance pie. But in the end, I don't know. It wasn't a bad book. Really, there's never a bad book in the series, but like we said,
some are less in quality than the others.
Right. So I will give Unnatural History a 3 Frenzies.
Week 3.
Yeah. This was not one of the best.
No, but still, the overall story arc was decent. It's just some of the execution didn't quite meet his usual standards.
For a 300-page book,
there was a lot packed in there.
Well, I thought it dragged. I really thought it dragged.
That's the thing. There was so much in there that it dragged through. The pacing could have been better.
Yeah, see, now I look at recent books from him like The Wedding Guest, The Museum of Desire. Those were, to me, solid.
Yeah, and
really good. Alex Delaware,
and
Milo
Sturgis. They moved.
Right.
They did not drag at all.
Right. Twists and turns. Interesting, deep plots.
Yeah.
In the end, and maybe I'll tell you something else that maybe is coloring my review in a negative sense, even though 3 is still positive. Did you notice, location-wise, a lot of similarities between this book and the one we just read from another pair of West Coast detectives, Elvis Cole and Joe Pike? Particularly Griffith Park, I think it was.
Yeah.
Where both
they wound
books
up
have
all in that area.
Victims involved with Griffith Park.
It's LA. It's bound to happen.
Just an observation. Just an observation there.
Thanks, Uncle Kev.
That sounded a little condescending.
No, not for me.
So we'll have another book review for you. Dave will next week. Mine will be coming up in probably July. So
he's not kidding, kids. Maybe a little.
I'm not sure I understand.
Stupid watch. Shut up, Siri.
There you go. Now I've been taken down by Siri on my own damn podcast. I was gonna say my next book I've chosen will be from last year, Lincoln Child's Chrysalis. So
I have not read that one yet.
Oh! I'm gonna knock this out. I'm gonna knock this bitch out and beat you to it. No, don't you write it down, David. He's writing it down. No, he'll read it tonight when he goes home.
I've got a couple of other things I'm involved with.
I will have Chrysalis done. It's only 300 pages.
Give me a target date.
End of April.
All right.
4 weeks. 4 weeks. I will have Chrysalis done. So far, I'm intrigued.
That'll let me get through a couple of others first.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, 5 or 6 others.
Maybe 2.
Bastard. Speed reading, Evelyn Wood, bastard.
I am not that fast.
I swear to God, your dad probably left the TV on. And you were sleeping there on a couch, and they had an Evelyn Wood speed reading commercial, and it sunk into your brain.
I do not speed read.
Okay. All right.
Now, at night, I will read from about 10:30 till 1 in the morning.
See, I can't read that much. I got to read 20, 25 minutes, chunks.
See, if I can get into it, I can go full bore for hours at a time.
Can't. Oh God, I can't. I can't do that with anything. I can't do that with sports. I can't do that with movies. Music, maybe. That might be the only thing.
Yeah. No, it's nothing. I could spend a whole day reading.
And this is why you do what you do. And we're all better for it.
There you go.
Because if you had that kind of obsessive nature with like nuclear warheads, we'd all be screwed. All right, kids. We're not even close to being done yet because next up is movies. Dave is being ultra generous with me this week and giving me an extra week to go out and see John Wick 4.
Yep.
Chapter 4.
This week, my boys shanghaied us on Monday night and said, "Oh, let's go. We got to do this. All right, let's go.
So I'm going to have a week here to get myself out to the movie theater and see John Wick 4. But I have a review of a recent release, and Uncle Dave...
I've got a story time for you.
So hang out for that. That's coming up in the next segment. We will be right back. Hello, I'm James Cameron, prestigious film director. And since it takes me over a decade to make a movie, I've got plenty of time between takes to listen to my favorite podcast, Sports Frenzy 2.0, on Spotify, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, Stitcher, Amazon, and Audible. Hey, wait, I'm having an epiphany. I have a new idea. Summer of 2035. Blue robots from the future on a doomed ocean liner. Oh, brilliant. Where's Arnold? Get me Schwarzenegger. What about DiCaprio? Oh, what about Edward Furlong? We know he's not doing anything.
It's April Fool's Day on Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition. Segment 2, movies, here on Spotify, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Amazon, Audible, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher! He's the maestro, Kevin Crane.
And he is the conquistador, Dave Height. As I mentioned last segment, my man, the Conquistador, being very generous, holding off on his review of John Wick Chapter 4 for a week so I can go out and partake. So we can do a dual review next week for you kids. And that's fine because I don't think there's anything else on the slate that I would even give two rats craps about watching. So
there you go.
I did watch over the weekend M. Night Shyamalan's latest on Peacock in the theaters recently, Knock at the Cabin. Now,
More power to you.
I've got nothing but negative vibes from the Conquistador and Mrs. C. Now, she read the book.
She read the book and was very disappointed and talked about it. And I'm like, well, that gives me no hope.
I will have to talk to her just to compare notes, because now I'm not saying that Knock at the Cabin was a great movie. I give it, let's start off with the review right away, 2 frenzies. There was a great idea not fully fulfilled that they alluded to at the end. I will say that.
The last part is what Mrs. C had a big issue with.
Well,
was the ending of the book.
Well, the ending of the book isn't
necessarily
a shock. Really, it's not. If you're expecting an M. Night Shyamalan twist, you're not going to get it.
No, not based on,
because what you're basically looking at is, and of course, I'm assuming you people out there have seen the ads. You've seen the previews. 4 people show up at this cabin, and of course, it's a gay couple with an adopted daughter. And they, of course, say that you have to make a choice. You have to decide one of the 3 of you has to die. One of the other ones has to kill somebody. You cannot kill yourself. You have to make a choice. Otherwise, the end of the world is going to come. And you have 4 times. You have 4 choices. We're going to ask you 4 times. Yes or no.
Yeah.
And you have to accept that for what it is. Now, part of the problem with the movie is, of course, it's, and I'm sure the book is the same way, it's PC, where you've got the gay couple, and of course, you've got the angry gay man who thinks everybody is out to kill, shun, get rid of gay people. And they do flashbacks. And of course, one of the 4 people who comes to the cabin ends up coincidentally being somebody who harassed them in the past. So right away, that's a big plot faux pas to me. Is that doesn't make a lot of sense. Why would you do that? Given what the plot is supposed to be about, the end of the world. These 4 people show up.
And, oh, by the way, one of them is from your past.
One of them's a homophobic asshole redneck from your past. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. That doesn't
scream legitimacy in any way.
Right. So you've got the angry gay man who thinks everybody is out to get them. So because of the one guy, he lumps all 4 of them in as homophobes. They're all out to get us because we're homophobic. They're homophobic. We're, a homosexual couple who've adopted a daughter. They hate us. They're out to get us. Now, the other guy is, of course, the halo above his head. Oh, so pious gay guy who's like, no, you don't understand. You have to give them time. They all love us. They will all understand. So it goes back and forth, and they're trying to explain the 4 people who are trying to stop the apocalypse. And meanwhile, we're dealing with the sexual social dynamic of the gay couple. It just doesn't come together. at the end because, again, M. Night Shyamalan, you expect the twist. You expect the plot twist, which doesn't come in this movie. It's either one of two things. And again, not spoiling anything, because if you've seen the previews, you know, are these guys full of shit? These four people who come into the cabin saying, you have to pick and choose between the three of you, one to die to save the world. Are they full of shit? Or are they telling the truth? That's it.
One or the other. No other option.
So at the end, it's either have they told the truth or were they bullshitting? And that's it. There is no twist. There is no big plot twist to make this all come together in any other way. It's either they're bullshitting, they're telling the truth. What will the gay couple do? So in that sense, it's a very unfulfilling M. Night Shyamalan movie. Now, I will say this. I love Dave Bautista. I don't care if he's an ex-wrestler, and he's going to get stuck as being typecast because he's a huge dude with tattoos all over. So there are very few roles he can pull off. They barely make him work in this. They explain him off as a bartender / teacher in inner city Chicago. So you can buy into him in this role. But the thing is, he is really good. You know, we talked about John Cena and the Peacemaker.
Right.
These wrestlers actually, this is what they do, is they act.
That's what wrestling is.
Yeah. So it shouldn't shock anybody that Dave Bautista is this good. He's awesome as Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy. He doesn't want to do that anymore. He wants to get into more
serious.
Right. Don't watch Stuber, by the way.
Stay away.
But as the lead guy in this group of four, very, very good. Very good. I give him credit. Kudos for pulling his dramatic muse out of his ass.
There you
and
go.
Being able to do a really good job here, holding things together as best he could. The one thing that I don't want to spoil, but it was the one plot idea that comes up towards the end, very end. The quote unquote nice gay guy comes up with this at the end and explains what these people represented, what they represent. It doesn't quite mesh with the traditional sense of what this idea is. And I know I'm talking in very vague terms, again, not trying to spoil things, but all I will say is think about it. Four people showing up talking about the apocalypse. 4 people talking about the apocalypse. Figure it out.
And if you can't, you really have to consider your options on what you do with your life.
But beyond that, could have been done better. Not the worst movie ever, not the best movie ever. 2 frenzies.
There you go. All right. Story time this week. So my youngest, Nick, was listening to an interview with Gene Simmons from Kiss and picked up on Gene talking about his stint acting in the 80s, playing the villain in a movie with Tom Selleck called Runaway. And so Nick asked me about it, and I said, oh, yeah. He plays Luther and with the robots and everything. He's like, all right, let's see if it's on one of the services. So sure enough, it's on Tubi. So the other night actually Saturday afternoon, we sat down and I watched Runaway probably for the 7th or 8th time. Nick for the first time. So Tom Selleck's in a future world as a police officer who heads up the runaway robot division where they have to stop whatever robots from causing whatever mayhem and death and destruction. And he gets a new partner, an attractive female. Go figure. But they wind up going up against Gene Simmons' character, Dr. Luther, whose evil intent upon turning all robots against humanity to murder people. And he's got the coolest gun with the bullets that when fired at somebody, it recognizes the heat signature, and they're literally miniature heat-seeking missiles going after a particular individual.
Now, when they film that, it's been a while, but now I've watched that multiple times as well. Don't they do it like from the bullet's point of view?
Yeah, when the bullet's going, they do the bullet's perspective as it's going around corners and through windows, and very cool. Also, the spiders, the robot spiders that inject acid into you, and then they explode. So cool. So 80s cheese.
I'm just looking in my my DVD selection here in our studio to see if it must be upstairs. That's how much I think of it. Is that it's not down here in the archives. It's upstairs in the prime.
The Pantheon.
Yep.
Pantheon of movies.
Yeah, I don't even have it down here. It's got to be upstairs because that's how much I love that movie.
So good. Gene Simmons plays a great villain. Tom Selleck, I mean, come on. He's Magnum PI for crying out loud.
He's Jesse Stone. Heyday. Yeah, he's the man.
Quigley.
Could have been Indiana Jones.
Should have been Indiana Jones, but we digress. No, Runaway, it's a great 80s sci-fi. It's 80s cheese. It's a 2.5 overall.
What? 2.5?
That's Nick's recommendation on it. I think it's a 3, personally.
Oh, I give that at least a 3. Runaway is at least
it's a 3
a
for
strong
me.
3.
It's a 3
strong
for me.
3.
For my youngest, it was a 2.5.
It's got the 80s cheese, yes, in it, but oh, come on. That is one of the most underrated movies ever. Does not get the credit it deserves. I spent, before streaming became big, about a decade ago, I spent a year, literally a year, trying to find the DVD at a reasonable price.
At a reasonable price.
Right. Yeah, I'm not going to buy it from Abdul Abdi Jagdish for $47 million in, Abu Ghraib. Finally I found it for like $15.
There
got
you
a hold
go.
of it. Love Runaway. Loved Runaway so much. Definitely a lost treasure of the 80s.
There you go, kids.
All right, couple little movie tidbits before we move on to TV and streaming. And I do believe we are going to be playing Dumbass or Not this week.
Always a fun episode. I even have a Clint Eastwood Badass of the Week.
Awesome. I don't have one for entertainment this week, so it's all on you. I don't know how to feel about this. There are certain movies, we've talked about this in the past, that I feel like they're untouchable when it comes to remaking.
Most movies should be untouchable.
Now, I thought that, and then they redid The Magnificent Seven, and they didn't botch it. So
they made it a different movie. It wasn't a remake.
But there are movies out there like Jaws, like The Godfather. Did you ever see anybody remaking those?
No. But I'm sure somebody will try.
Well, this one straddles a line to me. This is close. Paramount has signed on with Robert Downey Jr. in the lead to remake Vertigo.
Oh, come on.
One of the classic Hitchcock movies. Now, they redid Psycho, right? They redid Psycho.
Ish.
it was one of the biggest disappointments, one of the biggest flops ever.
Yeah, they shouldn't have touched it.
But they are looking at doing an out-and-out remake of Vertigo with Robert Downey Jr. in the role of Jimmy Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart movies you don't fuck with. He's one of those guys.
I don't like it either. Just stay away from the classics. Again, come up with new ideas. We'll get to that in our TV and streaming segment. Now, on the Marvel front, I find this a little interesting. Now, we've talked about the fact, of course, the late, great William Hurt played Thunderbolt Ross in the Marvel movies here in the past. Now, we know with the next stage, the next phase, which is right now miserably failing.
Yeah, especially now that Disney's cutting jobs and their Marvel Entertainment chairman, Ike Perlmutter, has been let go by Disney.
Right. Now, he's in charge of merchandise, though. He's not in charge of that's Kevin Feige.
Yeah, but still.
Right.
The writing is on the wall.
There's something wrong. Again, we saw this coming with
Disney
the handover. Take the money and run. Woo-hoo. Take the money and run.
Let the rat ruin it.
Yep. But remember, before we had Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner, after we had Eric Bana.
Yep. We had Ed Norton.
And in that movie, Betty Ross, the love interest, was one Liv Tyler.
Yep.
The daughter of Aerosmith Steven Tyler.
Yep. And William Hurt was the aforementioned general.
Well, Captain America New World Order, of course, we know Steve Rogers is gone. The Falcon has taken over as Captain America.
As expected.
And we have talked about how Harrison Ford is now being cast instead of the late, great William Hurt as Thunderbolt Ross. But Liv Tyler is coming back in New World Order as Betty Ross.
Wow, some consistency.
So
interesting.
Very interesting that even though Edward Norton played Bruce Banner in The Incredible Hulk, that movie very loosely is still part of this whole continuity. She's the one thread that they're going to bring forward to keep going here with the whole Hulk mythology. Because I would rather have Edward Norton any day over Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, I love the way Edward Norton played.
Edward Norton's a better actor. Edward Norton could take a shit in a bucket. It would be better than anything Mark Ruffalo has ever done. Yes, that's my Nomadland reference for the week. Seriously, Edward Norton has been in so many great movies, done so many great things.
He has. I was disappointed that they didn't continue on with him.
Yeah, they ignore him when it comes to this whole mythology.
Which is sad because he did a great job.
Yeah, everybody, welcome to ignore that first Hulk movie. Was miserable, bad beyond belief.
The Ang Lee crap.
Right. Yeah. The second one, much better. Would have been nice to see them carry Edward Norton forward for some consistency because they seem to be bringing everything else from that movie into the modern mythology. But
there you go.
Liv Tyler will be back.
All right.
Wanting to make out with Mark Ruffalo instead of Edward Norton.
Yeah, there you go. There's some acting going on there, kids.
Yeah, hope you are up on your hippy dippy green stuff, because that's all Mark Ruffalo cares about. So that'll do it for segment 2. Segment 3 coming up. Dave has watched Agent Elvis.
I have. I've also. Did I talk about last week finishing up the Venture Brothers?
No, you said you were going to.
Yes, I finished it up. So I have the series wrap up for you.
We've also got our updates on where we stand with Perry Mason, with Gotham Knights. Preview of WrestleMania!
And there you go. Stay tuned. We'll be back.
Hi, I'm Harrison Ford, and when I'm not listening to Sports Frenzy on Spotify, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, Stitcher, Amazon, and Audible, I'm out promoting my latest movie, even though I'm in my 80s. Right now I'm working on my next Indiana Jones adventure. Indiana Jones and the Adult Diaper of Danger. So grab your Metamucil, your popcorn, and head out to the movies. Hey, did I hear Short Round won an Oscar? I don't have one of those. Son of a bitch. How did that happen? No time for love, Dr. Jones, my ass.
All right, it's time for you to get out of bed, finish the coffee, finish the bacon and eggs, get over the hangover, get out into the world again. You got us for another 30 minutes. He's a conquistador, Dave Height.
He's a maestro, Kevin Crane.
Time to wrap up the weekend edition here on April Fool's Day, April the 1st, 2023. Recording here on March the 29th. We have done rock and roll. We have done movies. It is time for TV and streaming. And, of course, moments of silence and dumbass or not with your Uncle Dave. First up, I recommended to your Uncle Dave Netflix's Agent Elvis. Now, I am halfway through. I said last week I was going to take it easy. I'm not going to blow through this. I want to savor it and enjoy it. So I'm only halfway through. But
as we tape here on the 29th, I watched the first 2 episodes on the 28th of March. I am all in. It is fantastic. Kudos to Priscilla Presley for creating this beautiful animated roller coaster. So much fun. Matthew McConaughey voicing Elvis. Johnny Knoxville voicing his buddy, Bobby Ray. And of course, the star, the chimp, Scatter.
I am still trying to figure out who CC is supposed to be.
CC Ryder?
I don't know. All I know is they say CC with an E. I don't know if that's supposed to be somebody from Elvis's past.
No, he did the song, as did, oh God, who else did it? But there's a song, CC Ryder.
Right.
That she's basing it on.
You think
that song.
You think that's who it is?
Yeah, they're basing it on that song.
All right. I'm going to have to do some digging on this.
Trust me on this one.
All
that's
right.
the reference to the song CC Ryder.
Okay.
And that's the character's name.
Okay.
And it is spelled CECE.
Okay. I'm glad you like the show.
Love it. So much fun.
I have gotten through Altamont and Richard Nixon.
There you go.
Halfway through. So again, 10 episodes. I'm telling you, it is awesome. If
It's
the Conquistador likes it,
it's
you guys should like it as well.
Yeah, it's very entertaining, very comedic.
As the kids say, NSWF.
So definitely one to check out.
All right, we have got Gotham Knights. Dave did not watch the last episode. I did. I will briefly say, again, this is one of those shows we're going to be dealing with week by week. Didn't disappoint in week 2 in episode 2. I'm still waiting for somehow the CW to botch it, to mess it up.
But so far
really good. Yeah, episode 2.
I liked the first. Episode 2 still kept going.
Yeah, episode 2 kept the momentum going. Definitely better than what we experienced over the last couple of years of The Flash. You know, they have kept the PC stuff to a minimum.
It's all you can hope for.
So far, so good.
All right. There we go. I will take on next, finally, after a few years. Thank you, HBO Max, for putting the Venture Brothers out. So I finally got to wrap up season 6 and 7. I'm glad I knew ahead of time that my oldest Connor had said that they are planning a movie to wrap everything up. The way season 7 ended, did not like the way that came to a close. Loved season 6 and 7. The whole series is phenomenal, especially if you love the old Johnny Quest and all those things. Definitely a solid 3.5 for the whole thing. But the final episode, the way it ended, it left frustrating and not quite up to their usual excellence.
And you're sure they're going to do a movie?
That is what I have been told.
Okay. With the way HBO has been lately and cutting things.
Who knows? But I will have to verify that. But my kids are usually pretty well up on this stuff.
They are. Yep.
So.
All right, let's move on. Sticking with HBO Max to Perry Mason, of course, one of those shows that we have been looking in on every week through episode 4. Still have the same concerns I had last week, maybe even more so.
What?
Because it just seems like this whole thing they're doing with Della Street is going way too far down the path of let's just push a lesbian agenda without it having anything to do with the plot whatsoever.
Yep, pretty much. No real reason for it to be taking place.
Just like
that's not the original character. Once again, things are rewritten.
A lot of the reviews I've seen are actually backing us up on that. Looked on IMDb today. Yes, confirmation bias. You're always looking for people who are supporting your viewpoint and ignoring those who are against you. But this is not the Earl Stanley Gardner Perry Mason. This is not the Raymond Burr Perry Mason. This is something that you and I have discussed time and over again on this podcast, on the weekend edition. If you're going to do something, this could have been a really good show. You should never have called it Perry Mason. Should have made it another detective altogether.
Different animal entirely. And I could have lived with it.
Right. But for you to call this Perry Mason, it is not Perry Mason. You have turned Perry Mason into an alcoholic, bumbling buffoon for the most part, who has to be bailed out all the time by his lesbian secretary who now all of a sudden decides she wants to be his partner and
so she's
basically
taking
hires
classes.
a secretary and says, now we've got a secretary to do my job. I'm going to act like I'm your equal.
The paralegal, because she's taking classes.
Right. Which has nothing to do whatsoever with the original show. And I know, female empowerment. Oh my God. Great. So happy for you.
You know
and
what?
do a whole show about Della Street. Really. Do a whole show about the lesbian Della Street and then give us the choice to watch it or not. Don't act like we're getting
just have
Perry
created
Mason.
a whole new series. Give us different characters. That's what we want. We do not want standard characters completely rewritten and turned on their heads. If you wanted to do this and called it something else, fine. I could have lived with it a hell of a lot better. But I hate having standard set characters being rewritten time and time again.
To satisfy a political agenda. Now, that being said, Chris Chalk as Paul Drake is phenomenal. And the fact
Absolutely.
the way they did that character, the way they've put him in the era that they're dealing with,
Brilliant.
Works great. And Chris Chalk, fantastic as Paul Drake. It's just a shame that what they've done with him in a positive way is getting overshadowed in a negative way by being force-fed this whole lesbian bullshit with Della Street. And it's really, again, like The Last of Us. And again, it's the HBO Max. Again, it's the CW. Again, it's Warner Brothers. It seems to be the same company pushing this agenda in every show they do. As Dave said, they're rewriting characters, rewriting mythologies to suit an agenda. Do something different. Then let us make a choice whether we want to watch the show or not. Don't take existing characters.
Don't suck us in with what we expect with the beloved characters and turn them on their heads.
I've already given up on The Last of Us. I'm done with it. Don't do that to me with Perry Mason. You're getting close. I have shut down once on it. I almost shut down on it this week because I can't stand this innocuous, stupid storyline with Della Street. And by the way, how does the lesbian community feel about the fact she's cheating on her significant other? Right?
Yeah.
We seem to forget the fact
that she was in a relationship and
a
now
committed
she's
relationship
cheating.
And now she's cheating. But we can forgive that because she's a lesbian.
Grr.
People just wait till next week. We'll take a break and we'll talk about WrestleMania. It's okay. We'll get away from all this bullshit, political correct nonsense, and we'll just talk about wrestling.
There you go.
We'll talk about Roman Reigns' almost 3-year reign ending.
Maybe.
No, I think that's going to happen. My prediction is that will happen. Cody Rhodes will win. Now, the one I'm iffy on, I think Rhea Ripley will beat Charlotte Flair, but I'm on the fence on that. On the fence.
All right.
Rhea Ripley, man, if she takes off all the makeup and all the nose rings, and she's good looking. I will say that. And she can beat my ass in a second. I'll tell you what.
You may have to pay extra for that.
Oh, especially if we get Charlotte to join in. No, she's a married woman now. She is married to Andrade El Idolo.
Bless
from
you.
AEW. So, yeah, he kicked my ass. Trust me. All right, the final episodes, sadly, again, probably for the best that it's ending, to get out from under the umbrella of these idiots at Warner Brothers and HBO Max. The final Titans episodes start airing April the 13th. And I'm sure right after that, Doom Patrol.
We would hope. following what they usually do.
Now, I hate to go back to wrestling, but Vince McMahon has agreed to reimburse the WWE $17.4 million between fees they've had to pay, the whole under-the-table sexual harassment payments. He's going to reimburse them the full amount that everybody, the bean counters, the lawyers see as being fit again, so he can resume
control.
Yep, take back over as the man, the myth, the legend in charge of WWE.
So he's going to pay him off with all the money that he's embezzled over the years to begin with.
Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds good. Yeah.
Just putting in a perspective.
I know you're not a Star Trek guy, but I'm very happy with the one Star Trek show out there that's still good. Strange New Worlds with our man Anson Mount from Hell on Wheels.
Yep.
Playing Christopher Pike. Already got a season 3 renewal even before season 2 starts. Season 2 will start, by the way, on June the 15th. The one good Star Trek show left. No PC crap like Picard.
There you go.
Then finally, I loved the movie Man on Fire. Denzel Washington.
Yes, very good.
Dakota Fanning, of course. He plays Creasy, disgraced former military man who comes in as a bodyguard. Tony Scott, one of his best movies. Very interesting director, sometimes a little too herky-jerky, jumpy for me, but I love that movie, Man on Fire. Now, I did not realize, you being the book man that you are, that was the first, based on the first of 5 books in a series.
Really? I
Yes.
did not realize that.
Now, Netflix has jumped on board, saying they're going to create a series based on the Creasy character, starting with Man on Fire, and the second book in the series. That's going to comprise the first season of this projected series that they're going to put out on Netflix.
Alrighty then. Color me intrigued.
Yep, so I guess there's 5 books total in the series. Now, given how Man on Fire ended, I'm kind of shocked that there are 4 more books in the series. Spoiler alert. It didn't end well. It didn't look like it was going to end well at the end of Man on Fire for Creasy. So,
yeah. Now, there's something we may have to go back and read.
Well, you can knock it out in a week.
Yeah, maybe a month and a half.
It'd take me, till I'm 60. So
that's if you didn't have anything else to read.
yeah. Because I'm going to have Kellerman, I'm going to have Sanford, I'm going to have Spencer, yeah. All right, moments of silence. Or you had an entertainment world badass.
I do. Entertainment, our Clint Eastwood badass of the week. Melissa Joan Hart and her husband, their kids go to the school near where the Nashville shooting was. And their kids weren't in school that day, but they were on their way to parent-teacher conferences when it all went down. They helped get the young kids across the street to safety away from ground zero. So kudos to her and her husband for stepping up and helping get those kids out of the danger zone.
Yeah, of course. Moments of silence, we can obviously include the victims in that shooting here in our moments of silence. I mean,
If you're that frickin' miserable, people, just take yourself out. Leave everybody else the hell alone.
Yeah,
the shit's got to stop.
I think that's something you and I have always said, is that you don't have the right. It's selfish. It's stupid. It's a miserable way to live and to behave, to decide that you think you're God and you can take other people's lives. And again, we always forget the victims. We always forget the victims, and we always focus on the perpetrators, the criminals. We act like we need to give them all the consideration.
They earn nothing.
This is why the one thing you can talk about abortion, you can talk about censorship, you can talk about any of the controversial political issues of the day. The one that I will never waver on is capital punishment. If you kill somebody, your life is forfeit in my eyes, and you should go down. And I don't care if it's by firing squad, chemicals. I don't care if they bury you in a deep, dark hole, but you don't have more rights. And this is wrong on all levels with this country. You don't have more rights than the person you killed. You should have less rights than the person you put 6 feet under. And I hate the fact that this country continues to abide by and even honor, shine the spotlight on the killers, the criminals, instead of acknowledging the pain and the suffering that the victims and their families have gone through. You kill somebody, your life is forfeit in my eyes. And I don't care who you are, color, creed, sexual orientation, you go to hell in a bucket. The minute I have the choice, the minute I have the right to say so, capital punishment on the table, every state, everywhere. Sorry, I'm passionate about that. I hate the fact that we ignore the pain and the suffering the families go through when somebody is killed, murdered like that.
And the murderer gets life.
Gets movies,
get
books
to
written
continue
about him.
While the family suffers over and over.
And that's a very sick, twisted viewpoint we have in this country. The criminals should not be coddled. The criminals don't have the same rights as the victims. And I will never abide by that, never understand that. All right. Moments of silence. Continuing. Of course, nothing here is going to be as serious or as devastating as what we just talked about. But in the music world, Mudcrutch, of course, Tom Petty's first band, he brought it back a few years before he passed. One of the founders of Mudcrutch, along with Tom Petty, was Tom Ledden. Now, of course, you might know his brother, Bernie Ledden, one of the original members of the Eagles.
Yep.
But Tom Ledden passed away here recently, so thoughts and prayers to his family and friends. And of course, we have to pivot here in the last 8 minutes or so.
Because it's what we do.
Dave gets to play America's favorite game show, because we all know Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy are fucking things up left and right. So why can't we be America's #1 game show?
We should be.
Sports Frenzy presents Dumbass or Not.
Let's begin.
Easy target. Now this one, I don't know how Dave will feel about this, but we've discussed this in the past. We have talked about this with Roald Dahl. We've talked about this with Ian Fleming. Agatha Christie is the latest, where we are going to rewrite the books because we don't like the language used back then. We don't feel it's sensitive for the readers nowadays.
Get over it! God, just leave things the hell alone. What, next you're going to rewrite Shakespeare so it actually makes sense?
So it's actually interesting?
Not bloody likely. Just stop. Stop. Leave things alone.
And like Dave and I talk about all the time, we are against censorship. But that goes both ways. We don't want black voices, homosexual voices silenced, but that doesn't mean you get to silence the voices from the past. The voices from the past, you better learn from them, whether you like the language, whether you don't. You keep it intact, you learn from it. Pulling down statues, rewriting books doesn't fix a goddamn thing.
Nope, it's absolutely stupid. Like most everything going on in the world today.
Oh, let's stick with this theme, can we?
Sure, why not?
Because we all know Florida is run so well. And there are people out there that do think Florida is run better than most states in the country because of how things went during the pandemic. Got news for you, kids. Every state, doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, they're all fucked up in some way. We can find flaws in each and every one of them. And Florida is no different. Florida parents recently got a charter school principal to resign because that person had the audacity to show sixth graders a picture of Michelangelo's David. Oh my God, it's a penis! Oh my God, it's a penis! What are we gonna do? We've got goddamn transgender strippers grinding on teenage girls in other schools, but God forbid in Florida they show a picture.
Educate somebody on world art? Come on!
Michelangelo's David, yes, he's got his junk hanging out. Can we get over the fact? Now we go too far the other way. This is what I can't stand. The pendulum swings so far one way, so far the other way. Never in the middle. Never with common sense. Can we get over the fact this is one of the greatest pieces of artwork in modern history? And because it's got a penis and balls, we've got to go, oh, fire him! Fire him! Get rid of the guy who dared to show sixth graders this.
Florida has been ground zero for this whole banning bullshit.
And some of the stuff I agree with. Some of the stuff they've done, I agree with. Especially when it comes to Disney.
There's a lot,
but this is wrong. They go so wrong.
Damn far. It's pathetic.
Again, they
and
go
this
too
is
far
one
the other way.
Stupid ass example.
Nobody has any common sense and can look at things through the lens of the middle, the lens of common sense. Stop pushing it too far to the left. Stop pushing it too far to the right. Kanye West decides he likes Jewish people again. And you want to know why, Dave? Do you want to know why Kanye West likes Jewish people again?
No, I don't give a rat's ass.
He loves Jewish people now again because he was impressed with Jonah Hill's performance in 21 Jump Street.
What the fuck?
I find this absolutely ridiculous that this guy got to put his dick in Kim Kardashian. One of the most beautiful women in the world. And this Jew-hating asshole.
He's an idiot. Oh my God.
Watches 21 Jump Street and decides he likes Jewish people now.
21 Jump Street was abysmal.
And you people buy his records. You people listen to his music. Stop. He doesn't deserve your money. He's an idiot.
Oh, God.
Jonathan Majors had everything going for him. Jonathan Majors Kang, the lead villain in the upcoming phase of the Marvel movies. Just starting Creed 3. Huge, huge hit movie.
Yep.
Gets arrested in New York City for strangulation and harassment.
Dumbass.
He was in this big U.S. Army ad campaign. Paused because of this. Why put yourself in this situation? Of course, his lawyers are going, oh, well, he's innocent. We'll prove he's innocent. Why do you put yourself in this situation? You were the man. You were going to be the next big Hollywood star.
And you just destroyed everything. Ugh.
All right. We got a little over a minute left, so I got to knock out these last two real quick.
Fame breeds dumbassery.
WLBT in Mississippi news anchor Barbie Bassett thought it would be smart talking about Snoop Dogg adding a new wine to his collection, his line. She thought it'd be cool to say, faux shizzle my nizzle. Of course, not realizing that nizzle is another word for the N-word. Now, of course, Whoopi Goldberg and Charlemagne, the God, have to come out now and say, oh, it's not her fault because we don't know everything you're not supposed to do. You're the ones that are causing the problems. You're the ones that cause the issues. You're the ones that mouth off. But now all of a sudden you're going to defend this white woman for saying basically a variation of the N-word. It's okay, though, because Whoopi says it's okay. And Charlemagne, the God. He's Dave. I'm Kev. We're done. We'll see you next week.